Right now, if the temperature outside dropped 40 degrees in a single night, you would be dead before morning. You know this. You feel it every time a cold snap hits and you reach for a thicker coat. But 20,000 years ago, that exact drop was just called Tuesday. And your ancestors didn't just survive it, they thrived in it for thousands of generations, with nothing but skin, bone, and a brain that was rewriting the rules of survival in real time. The real answer to how they did it is far stranger than they wore furs. Picture Europe during the last glacial maximum. Not the gentle winters you know. Ice sheets over a mile thick sat where London stands today. Average temperatures were 10 to 15 degrees Celsius colder than now. Wind chill alone could kill an unprepared person in under an hour. And yet humans were there. Not hiding. Living. So what changed? Not your ancestors' bodies. Their strategy. The first myth to break is the caveman in a cave image. Most Ice Age humans weren't cave dwellers by choice. Caves were rare, often occupied by cave bears and hyenas who were not interested in sharing. Instead, archaeologist Olga Soffer's research on Upper Paleolithic textiles revealed something remarkable. Humans were weaving. Cordage, netting, even woven cloth existed tens of thousands of years before anyone assumed textile technology began. Impressions of woven fibers were found pressed into fired clay at sites in the Czech Republic, dated to roughly 27,000 years ago. That means your ancestors weren't just draping animal hides over themselves. They were engineering fitted, layered clothing. Multiple thin layers trap warm air far better than one thick layer. Modern cold weather science calls this the layering principle. Ice Age humans were already using it, purely through trial, error, and death. Here's the strange part. The sewing needle changes everything. Bone needles with eyed holes start appearing in the archaeological record around 40,000 years ago. Not awls for punching holes. Actual needles, fine enough to pull sinew thread through tightly fitted seams. This is the technology that let humans move from wearing hides like a poncho to wearing something closer to a tailored parka. Why does a needle matter this much? Because a loose hide lets cold air pump in and out with every movement. A sewn, fitted garment traps a layer of warm air against the skin. That difference is the difference between hypothermia in 20 minutes and comfort for hours. Anthropologist Ian Gilligan has argued something that sounds almost backwards. He suggests that clothing wasn't just a response to cold climates. It may have been a precondition for humans surviving the cold at all, and even for migrating into colder regions in the first place. Without the needle, you don't get Siberia. Without Siberia, you don't get the Americas. Think about that for a second. One small tool, sharpened bone with a hole through it, may be one of the reasons you exist on the continent you're reading this on right now. But clothing was only step one. Fire was step two, and fire was never simple. You flick a lighter without thinking. Your ancestors spent hours coaxing a spark into a flame that could mean the difference between life and death that night. Sites like Pech de la Zay in France show evidence of controlled fire use going back over 150,000 years. But during the coldest glacial periods, fuel became the real crisis. Wood was scarce on the open tundra. So what did they burn? Bone. Literal animal bone, rendered down and dried. Burns surprisingly well once it's been defatted through cooking or weathering. Research on Ice Age hearths in Ukraine has found ash layers consistent with bone-fueled fires, alongside massive dwellings built from the bones of woolly mammoths. Yes, entire shelters made from mammoth bones. Sites like Mezherich show circular structures built almost entirely from mammoth skulls, tusks, and leg bones, stacked and arranged with clear architectural intention, then likely covered with hides for insulation. This wasn't a random pile. It was engineering. A single mammoth could supply enough bone, hide, fat, and meat to support a group through an entire brutal winter. Killing one mammoth wasn't just a meal, it was a housing project. Now here's where the story gets stranger, because survival wasn't just physical, it was social. Cold environments punish isolation. A lone human in an Ice Age winter is a dead human. But a group, working together, sharing fire, sharing food, sharing body heat at night, has a completely different survival curve. Researcher Robin Dunbar's work on human social bonding suggests that the size and complexity of human social groups grew in step with the demands of harsh environments. More cooperation wasn't a nice bonus, it was a requirement written into the math of survival. Groups that fractured, that let jealousy or conflict break.